Questions from our media. Jacob Unruh, go ahead, Jacob. You're the first one.
Hey, Avery. That second half when they went on a 17-0 run, that was kind of a problem that plagued you guys at times last season too. Do you have a diagnosis, kind of what happens in those moments and when teams can kind of go on those runs?
Just they had a lot of second chance points. They had, I think, 18 second chance points on us, and we had 5. So that's what really killed us in the second half, and just miscommunications on the defensive side because we was away from our bench, and the bench was really helping us when we was playing D on that side of the ball. So just communication and second chance points would really killed us.
Do you think there's something you guys can do differently to kind of stop those runs a little faster?
Yeah, it's just being more active and communicating to each other. And that's really it, just communicating with each other instead of just not communicating, getting defensive breakdowns, not rebounding, boxing out, doing the little things.
Cade, I saw you pop in there. What was it like going against Greg today?
Yeah, it's somebody I played with last year. We won a lot of games with. Me and him built a really good relationship. So, it's always fun to play against, old friends and old teammates and stuff. And he played well today.
Did you have a little more motivation against him today?
It's motivation against every Big 12 team. Every conference game is a big game. And, going into the break, we really wanted this win. So, yeah, it was definitely motivation for sure.
You got going late, but what were they doing well against you early in that game?
What was that? I didn't hear you.
You got going late and offensively, but what was Texas doing well defensively today?
I think, early on in the game, game plan is always fresh and everything. So, they were really locked in on defense. They played well. I think, as the game opened up more, game kind of wear off a little bit, and then it's just about competitiveness. That's when things kind of opened up for me, but it definitely started the game off well.
Awesome. Thanks, Cade. Thanks, Avery.
Yes, sir.
Next question from Marshall Scott of Pistols Firing. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Cade, Jacob mentioned you getting going late again. What kind of spurs that? Is there just a time where you know that you need to take over, or what kind of spurs you getting going, especially late in games?
Hey guys, hold on a second. We're just gonna need to turn you up a little bit, okay?
It's got big here.
All right, could you say that again?
Yeah. Cade, what kind of gets you going late? Jacob kind of mentioned earlier, you got going late again. Is there something that spurs it? Or is there just like an inner thing saying, hey, I need to take over now? What spurs you to get going late like that?
I don't know. I wish I could get going earlier. But it's game. I just kind of stay aggressive. Don't let how the first half went kind of dictate how I play the rest of the game. And I just kind of stay at it. And I got going later on.
How do you kind of dissect early struggles? Is it more film watching kind of stuff? Is that how you kind of get off to harder starts?
Yeah, I definitely watch a lot of film on the games. Seeing what kind of shots I'm getting and everything like that. But I think just starting out the game, putting the ball in the rim. I think I had some looks I should have made, and I just didn't knock them down.
Gotcha. And then Avery, during that 17-0 run, the TV cameras kind of came to you guys, and Mike was kind of giving it to you in the huddle. What was his message there?
Just stay together. Don't get disruptive. And if you stay together and fight like we was fighting at the end, we was gonna put it through.
Gotcha. Thanks, guys.
Our next question will come from Ryan Breeden. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, Avery, you made it into the starting lineup today. There's a couple other different changes on that front. Was that something that was because of that athleticism that Texas can present?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Say it one more time.
So I said you made it in the starting lineup today, and there was a couple other changes in that area too. Where was that because of some of the athleticism that Texas brings?
His question, if you couldn't hear him, guys, was about. Oh, go ahead, Avery. Yeah.
I would just say Coach had to put me in the starting lineup because he just felt like I could make a difference. Everybody can make a difference on the team, but he just called my number and I was ready to go just to do things that I do on the defensive side to help my team win, and also helping Cade out with the scoring. Just doing whatever I need to do to win the ball game. That's what I'm gonna do.
And then you guys, it seems like it's been a little bit more of an added focus the last couple of weeks. You guys getting to the rim, getting to the basket, that's kind of been your guys' game. And you guys overall did very well in that area. And I wanted to ask you a little bit about free throw shooting. I know it's been something that's been a little bit, probably not in the area where you guys want it to be. Today it was, you guys went 13 of 21. I just didn't know, is that something that you look at as a concern?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that coach has been, making us really work on. We've been in the gym working on it. We just got to step up in the game and knock them down. I missed 2 today. And I mean, we had a couple costly ones, but it's something that we're definitely working on. Coaching staff is definitely putting emphasis on it. Like I said, in the game, we just got to come up and knock them down.
And my last question, Cade, I just wanted to ask you a little bit about that exchange there near the middle to into the second half on that basket that you thought you got fouled on and one that you maybe got a little bit unhappy and got technical on. I just wanted to ask you about your perspective during that when that whole scene played out.
I yelled and one. Maybe I shouldn't have yelled that loud. He called the tech. That's how the game goes. And it was a one possession game in the game. Giving up 2 free throws and the ball. That's a costly mistake. So, yeah, that's how the game is, and that's something I got to try to take out.
Thanks.
Next question, a follow-up from Jacob. Go ahead, Jacob.
Cade, is there a level of frustration you're going through sometimes around the rim with calls not going your way?
Nah, I just got to put the ball in the rim. I think that's the main thing. Refs have a job to do. I have a job to do. My job is to put the ball in the rim, and they officiate how they feel. So, I can't make them make calls. I just have to, control what I can control.
And you guys are now 0-2 in conference play. You get a 13-day break. Is the break kind of welcome to maybe kind of regroup?
Yeah. I say that this break gonna really help us get everybody mind focused back on the task at hand when we go against Tech at their place, and just coming back with that dog mentality.
Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Marshall Scott, you are up next. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Avery, we mentioned it's your first start today. You've had a weird start to the year, kind of. Do you feel like you're kind of still getting going, or do you feel fully comfortable, I guess, with what the years bring?
I'll say I'm comfortable. It's just a thing that happens in the game of basketball. You have ups and downs, and I say you just got to stay the course. And I'm just staying the course, and when it's my time, it's my time.
Gotcha. Appreciate it, guys.
Last question I just have for you guys. So with a game that obviously the team shoots 47%, limits its turnovers, is this one of those situations that where you can take something from going on the road at the number 11 team in the country, fighting down to that finish, and see that this is kind of coming together? Do you guys feel that way? Specifically for you, Cade, what are your thoughts? Obviously, that fight to the end kind of thing.
We've had 2 one-possession games now, so I know the Big 12 is not going to be easy. But I think the biggest thing is just staying together and continuing to fight throughout the game. It's going to be 40 minutes of a fight. And so, yeah, this break, I think it's going to allow guys to kind of sit back and think on things and, come back with a different mindset. And, I think we'll definitely figure this thing out. It's just small things that we have to, talk about, drill out and things like that. But it's a long year ahead for sure.
We thank you both, and safe travels back, and enjoy your holiday break, guys.
So thank you.
Thank you.
Coach, can you hear us okay?
Yes, I can. You hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we can. This is exactly what you talked about the other night. Every single ball game is going to be a dogfight to the very end. You obviously have to be proud of the fight in your team and how close they brought this one and fought to the end. That 17-0 run was obviously what made this one out of reach. What are your thoughts after a great ball game in Austin?
Obviously really disappointed. Thought we did some things good enough to give ourselves a chance, but we didn't do enough things well enough for long enough to finish the game. And obviously we've got to learn. I mean, this league is unforgiving. I told our guys on Thursday when we came back to practice that, don't think for a second Texas was going to feel sorry for us. They were going to come try to kick us while we're down. And credit to them, this was their first league game. They played well and found a way to win. I'm proud of our fight, but we got to find a way to be more consistent throughout the game.
Your first question from Jacob Unner. Go ahead, Jacob.
Mike, you mentioned the consistency, that 17-0 stretch. That's plagued you in the past. Obviously, a different team, but can you kind of pinpoint something that happens there or ways you can look forward to breaking out of those funks?
There's a lot of ways to look at it. What are the things that are happening on each end of the court? Are we getting the right shots? Are we trying to get ourselves to the free throw line? Are we attacking the paint to get easier, higher percentage shots? I have to go back and look at the film at that stretch in particular. I know the couple things that really hurt us, our lack of being able to defensive rebound. They got several second chance opportunities and converted those. And then we didn't do a great job in transition defense. So when we didn't score, our sense of urgency spreading back and getting our defense set so that they would even have to play against us 5-on-5 before then you got a defensive rebound. So you can't go on the road and give a team that many more opportunities to score than you're going to have. I think they ended up with 14 more shots than we did. And it's not like we turned them over a ton to make up for it. So, a one possession game where the other team gets 13 more shots can be pretty hard to win.
It wasn't, I don't think it was the main play, but that shot clock violation right before Greg hit those back-to-back threes seemed to become a big moment. Was it a miscommunication? What kind of happened there?
Yeah, there was miscommunication. It was 6 seconds left. We tried to run a quick hitter. We just made the wrong read and ended up taking a shot that kind of turned up their momentum a little bit. But again, I mean, there were several plays that we could probably point to like that. Just one that's kind of glaring because, in my opinion, a shot clock violation may be the worst turnover in basketball. I mean, there's one on both ends and it's running down. You can find a way to get a shot off. I mean, miss it or whatever, but get a shot off. So certainly something that we got to make sure it doesn't happen very often.
And Greg Brown today, too, was obviously really impressive. What did he do so well against you guys?
It was comfortable. He did what Greg Brown does. I mean, shot open threes. He got to the paint and uses his athletic ability to finish. And it looked like he was pretty engaged defensively. So certainly he's trying to protect the rim for them. So he's a really good player. We're going to see those guys every night in this conference. And so get used to it. There's a lot of really good players. Some of them are freshmen, some of them are seniors. And, he was really, really good today.
Thanks, Mike.
Your next question is from Marshall Scott of Pistols Firing. Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, Mike, is there a feeling that you guys are close to kind of being where you want to be? Obviously, the 17-0 run, if that's a 10-0 run, then maybe this looks different against the number 11 team in the country. You had the run at the end of the TCU game. Is there a feeling that you guys are close?
Yeah, I mean, again, you're talking about 2 one-possession games, right? One at home, one on the road. The one at home, you got an 8-point lead with 2 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Yeah, I mean, we're not getting run out of anybody's jam. We're not competing. You know, there were a couple games last year where we weren't competing this early in conference play. And that's not the goal. The goal is to win. So trust me, I mean, I'm not accepting this, but I know we got 17 more games to play in the regular season, 16 more league games and the non-conference game thrown in there. And so I don't want our guys to feel defeated. There's a lot of opportunities out there for us to go and do what we all want to do. But, you know, one of the keys is in the first half, we should have had more than a 5-point lead, you know, at halftime. If we defensive rebound better, we have more than a 5-point lead. And those are things that are, you know, there's certainly some athletic ability that plays into that. You know, if a guy can jump at 12 feet and you can't, it makes it hard. But there's some strategy, there's some competitiveness that you got to try to get him before he gets off the ground to block him out. And so, you know, with that, in that regard, I do feel like we're close because I feel like there are fixable errors that we're making. You know, the effort in transition defense, the blocking out, and those are things that, you know, on us as a coaching staff to make sure it gets done.
And then the Cade was able to turn it on again late. That's kind of just a trait of great players. But what does he need to do to get it going a little sooner?
Yeah, some of it, I think he's playing like there's a little pressure on him that he's got to make all the plays, and he doesn't. You know, we got a 5-point lead without him playing particularly well in the first half. And so we got to understand that there are other guys who can take some pressure off him in terms of playmaking. You know, I think you saw that from Bryce, you saw that from Avery. We got to get Ice going a little bit more, and that'll make the game probably a little bit easier for him where he doesn't feel like he's got to go into takeover mode at any point. He can just kind of play freely and comfortably throughout the game.
Then you obviously had the lineup change today. Avery came in for Farron. You guys only shot, I think, 5 threes in the first half. Is that kind of a trend that you guys are going to maybe attack the basket more with where that's your strength?
Yeah, I still believe in our shot makers, but until we start making them, right, we don't need to keep shooting them. I mean, at the end of the day, the job is to try to get the guys on the court who are best right at the moment, right, of putting you in position to win. And, you know, Avery's done really, really well in practice. He's taking care of basketball much better. He's a pest defensively. We saw that again. He was very, very active. And so, yeah, we're going to always play to our strengths. We believe a strength of ours is the ability to shoot it, but we haven't shot it well. So I'm not going to have a team continue to shoot 33s a game and shoot 20%.
Thanks, Mike.
Follow-up question from Jacob. Go ahead, Jacob.
Mike, on the lines of those 3-pointers, was that a lesson you kind of learned last season? Because I know you adjusted late in the season on not shooting as many threes.
Yeah, you know, we can believe all we want that you know, guys can shoot until they do it. When the game's on the line, it doesn't really a whole lot. So what we need to do is keep those guys engaged and working on the right shots in practice. And then when they show the ability to make more consistently in games, we can use that as more of a weapon. For now, we've got to be a team that attacks the paint, get to the free throw line, convert our free throws, and try to get as much in transition as possible. But I still believe in those guys who's supposed to be shot makers. It just hadn't come to them yet.
And you have a 13-day break. How do you kind of approach that on and off the court with the kids? I mean, on the court, I mean, you've got work to do, obviously, but off the court, you've got to keep them safe. How do you approach the next 2 weeks?
This year's a little different in every regard, right? We would never have a 13-day break. We'd always play much closer, maybe one more game prior to breaking, and then maybe a game before we start conference play. With the conference schedule the way it is this year, that's not really advisable. And so we've taken the approach that we're just going to try to get our guys, they'll take a break. We're going to give them a few days to go home and see their families. I think it's important from a mental health, from a psychological standpoint, getting through the whole season, that they have a little bit of time to recharge their batteries, see their loved ones, and then come back. And obviously, when you take that break and guys are traveling, you're concerned now because the virus is still out there. And so we want to give ourselves some time to make sure we don't have any issues. So that's different this year. But it's time. We need practice. We played a lot of games in a short amount of time. So this time here over the next 13 days, we'll give them a few days off and we come back. Practice is going to be critical for us.
Thanks, Mike.
One last follow-up question from Ryan Breeden. Go ahead, Ryan.
Yeah, Mike, you talked on Friday about how Texas.
Hold on, Ryan. There's a major echo. I can't really make out what you're saying.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Hear me.
I mean, I can. There's an echo.
Sorry, Ryan. Coach, if you wouldn't mind,
You
just kind of give us your closing.
I'll wait a second for him, Steve.
Say that again, Coach. I'm sorry. Oh,
I said I'll wait a second for him. We'll see if we can get his audio fixed.
He's logging back in. Ryan, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I just tried to switch over to my phone. Is that better?
Much better. Go ahead, Ryan.
That's better.
Okay. All right, Mike. So you mentioned on Friday a little bit of the athleticism mismatch that you felt like Texas was going to provide for you guys, and you obviously made some lineup changes. And did you feel like that area was as much of a problem as you thought maybe it could be or would be?
Without being able to go into specifics, when I look at the stat sheet and see they got 15 offensive rebounds, that's a pretty telltale sign that, you know, we didn't do the job athletically around the basket. They missed, I guess it looks like 30, almost 39 shots and got 15 of them back. It's a pretty high offensive rebound percentage. So, yeah, it was a major factor in the game. One, we didn't answer the bell in that regard.
And then you guys today from the free throw line, you shot 13 for 21, I think it was. And that's not something that you specifically mentioned a few minutes ago when you talked about your concerns, but is that something that you are a little bit concerned about?
I mean, you always want to make them. I mean, we shot 8 for 11 in the second half, which is, you know, that was just, you know, it's a concentration deal. We got good shooters shooting, and we don't have anybody shooting, you know, a horrible percentage. You know, MA's low. And Ice hasn't shot it as well, hasn't shot as many this year. I mean, again, I think this is only the third or fourth time in his career that he didn't shoot a free throw, which again tells me that we have, you know, this isn't just about 3-point shots. This isn't about one thing. We have to get him going and being more aggressive, because for us to be ultimately as good as we want to be, we need him to be more productive. And that's not a criticism. It's probably more what we're doing with him as a staff and put him in more positions to have more productive outcomes. So, I thought we shot him well in the second half. We obviously didn't shoot him as well in the first half, but I'm not concerned about it because I know we have good shooters shooting. What I want to make sure we're doing is that we're concentrating and we're shooting them the same way every time and that we're practicing well enough.
And then my last thing for you, I wanted to ask you a little bit about that exchange there near the middle to end of the second half with the technical foul and on the non-call on the and one. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were and like what you saw kind of during that exchange.
Yeah, I mean, that referee is much closer to the play than I am. From my view, it looked like a foul. I got no reason to think that if it was a foul, he would purposely not call it. So I'm curious to go watch the film and see what actually did happen.